Hello, my dear friends. Once again, I find myself sitting down to share my thoughts on something that's been close to my heart lately. You know, as we journey through the later chapters of life, a lot of questions come up. What truly gives us peace? What keeps us feeling free, in control, and deeply content as we age? These aren't surface-level questions. They're the kind you sit with late at night, aren't they? And today, I want to talk about relationships. Specifically, the complex reality of relationships in our older years. For many, the promise of companionship is a source of joy, warmth, and comfort. But for others, it can bring unexpected challenges, emotional, financial, and even physical. Have you ever wondered why that is? Why is it that some people embrace freedom and tranquility in aging, while others feel trapped by the relationships they're in? Let's dive in. And as always, take what resonates and leave the rest. This is your journey after all. Let's start with something we don't often talk about, the emotional weight of compromise. When we're younger, compromise feels like a natural part of relationships, a necessary piece of sharing your life with someone else. And often, it teaches us patience, doesn't it? How to negotiate, how to forgive. But as the years go by, the subtle sacrifices can build up and begin to wear us down. Small things like deciding what's for dinner or how to spend a Saturday morning can become ongoing debates. And you might think, why do I feel so tired all the time? Sometimes it's this. The little things add up. One gentleman I once spoke to, Robert, he was around 74, shared something poignant. For decades, he adjusted to his wife's needs. He'd go along with waking up early on Sundays to accommodate her schedule, listening to her favorite music even when he preferred silence. At first, these were acts of love, and he didn't mind. But over time, Robert began to feel like he had lost his own rhythm, swallowed up by years of small concessions. And now, all he really wanted was peaceful mornings to himself. Something as simple as brewing coffee in silence had become a luxury. Have you ever felt like that? Like your own needs aren't important anymore? The truth is, there comes a point in life when sacrificing your peace of mind day in and day out may not feel worth it anymore, and dear listener, that's okay. This leads us to something larger: independence. Now, let's not underestimate how precious and powerful independence is, especially now in our later years. Let me ask you, when was the last time you felt entirely free to do what you wanted, when you wanted, without having to factor in anyone else's preferences or expectations? It's a rare and beautiful kind of freedom, isn't it? I've spoken to so many people who, like Frank, a man I met in his 70s, only discovered this kind of liberation after spending years in a relationship. Frank's entire adult life had been shaped by compromises: where they lived, how they spent holidays, even which hobbies he pursued. After his wife passed, he suddenly found himself waking up without an agenda, without needing to explain or consult. Of course, he carried grief, as anyone would after such a profound loss. But alongside the grief came something unexpected: release. When was the last time you pursued a dream or took up a hobby without worrying about how someone else would feel about it? Imagine how that might feel again. Sometimes we forget we even have that kind of agency until we step into it. It's not just about daily decisions, it's about rediscovering who you are beneath the layers of years of shared living. Dr. Helen Marcus, a geriatric psychologist at Stanford, speaks about this often. She says, in later life, reclaiming one's independence can restore a sense of identity that often feels diminished in long-term relationships. And friends, that's significant, isn't it? Taking time to reconnect with your authentic self is one of the greatest gifts of aging. But of course, it's not all simple. Relationships come with responsibilities, and sometimes they come with burdens that no one prepared us for. Take caregiving, for example. It's a reality many of us are familiar with. I know some of you here have lived it, or are living it now. The unspoken truth is that when a partner falls ill, the role of caretaker can take over your life. James, another friend I'll never forget, was 77 when his wife became seriously ill. For years he cared for her every day. It started with small things like making meals or organizing medications. But as her condition grew more complicated, so did his role. He stopped sleeping through the night, worrying about her needs. His own health weakened under the stress as he put himself last every day. And yet, he told me, with tears in his eyes, how much he loved her. That tenderness never left, but his sense of self did. A 2019 study from the Mayo Clinic found that caregivers in their later years were more likely to experience depression and physical ailments from the prolonged stress of tending to someone. I know it's a heavy thought, but it's also a necessary one. The best way to care for someone else is not by sacrificing your own well-being completely. It's by creating space for balance. I say this with the utmost love. Don't lose yourself entirely in the process of loving someone else. And then there's the financial reality of relationships late in life. Money can bring unexpected tension, even when love is strong. Think of a man like Robert, who lived comfortably on his savings until he entered a new relationship at 75. Suddenly, he was helping his partner with bills, even supporting her grown children. What had been a quiet, financially secure retirement became a series of financial strains and unspoken obligations. I'm sure some of you have seen this in one way or another. The AARP often reminds us of the importance of protecting your resources and planning carefully in later life relationships. You've worked hard your whole life. Your financial security shouldn't have to come under stress in retirement. For some, living independently is about more than autonomy. It's about ensuring that you can age with dignity and peace of mind. But let me pause here to reflect. This isn't to say that love or companionship isn't beautiful. It absolutely is. Relationships can bring joy, laughter, and even healing. That's undeniable. But it's also true that we need to question the stories society tells us about always needing someone by our side. What's right for one person may not be right for another. The most important relationship you'll ever have, my dear friend, is the one you have with yourself. So I encourage you to reflect. Are the relationships in your life an honest source of happiness and peace? Or are they tied to a sense of habit, fear, or obligation? Remember this. Your later years are meant to be a time of freedom. Freedom to rediscover yourself, explore deeply, and live without the weight of unnecessary burdens. You've earned that. Thank you for walking through this reflection with me today. I hope it sparked something meaningful in your heart. And if it has, why not share your thoughts with me? I'd love to hear, what brings you peace? What decisions are you considering to honor your own well-being? As always, if you enjoyed this conversation, share it with someone you think might need it, and don't forget to subscribe and join us for the next episode of The Gentle Path. Take care of yourselves. You deserve nothing less. Until next time.